nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. I think there's something in the water. If you wanna take a sip, but be careful what you wish for. The faint of heart can't handle it. Everybody wants a piece of someone else's prize, but it ain't free, it don't come cheap. Only the strongest will survive. You ain't seen nobody like this.
Good evening and welcome to SA Soccer Roundtable. My name is Harry. Rafa, do you smell it? Bracketology coming. Quick. TAPPS starts the 20th, I believe. So,
yep.
or 20, I think the first round's 20th. I could be wrong for that here. So we got a lot to get to tonight. I do apologize last week. Unfortunately, I had a family issue that popped up, which unfortunately canceled the show last Thursday. You were traveling. Super Bowl Sunday was this last week, right? Yeah. So we're gonna kind of work the Rafa Power Index, the RPI into the standings, just so that way we can have it's been updated a little bit based on some results. Davenport. Yeah. So, but no, Rafa, first of all, what action have you seen this week? Not local.
Oh no, I'm here in Odessa, Texas. So nice, cold, rainy soccer weather that I got to experience here. So I actually got to see the kind of a little Clásico. Normally you have it for football, but we had a Midland Legacy versus hosting against Odessa Permian for District 2 6A, and Permian was I think they were undefeated in district play, so they played them. It was pretty good. It was cold when I got to the stadium, and then it just got worse and turned to a slushy mist. And
you said it kind of sleeted, right?
It was getting colder, so it was like, oh, I better drive back before it gets slick. I mean, I stayed to the end of the game, so it was a great game. Kudos to Midland Legacy. So shout out to them if they're watching. It was a great game. It capitalized on two mistakes by Permian, and like I said, both teams are very talented teams. You know, I think we could probably see them in the bracketology in March. So still a long way to go. I think they're just still early on in their district play, like I said, because they only have 6 teams in their district, so they haven't reached a halfway point there. But it was good to see, good turnout, you know, for the weather. But like I said, it was nice to be there at Astown Stadium in Midland. So good soccer. So I get to see other West Texas soccer over here. And like I said, last couple of weeks ago I was in Salado, so I got to see them. They're in the Killeen area. So hopefully I'll get to see something next week.
So a little bit about what we're going to do tonight. We're going to go over TAPPS, the standings. I was able to find the brackets for that here, so we'll kind of take just a quick look. I went over them this weekend, right? I think it was that I did it this weekend, so it doesn't have games Monday and Tuesday. Today's Wednesday, right? Yeah, so
Wednesday.
We wouldn't have today's anyways. But just kind of give an idea, because there is a little bit different format with the standings being realigned and along those lines here. Some interesting matchups on paper, and of course, like I said here, the big show I think is going to be President's Day. I think is what we're going to shoot for for
TAPPS
if the brackets come out. So we'll come through for that here, but so we'll kind of mix that in. Probably won't go into a whole lot of detail, but just to kind of go through, especially the by district round. There's only maybe 1 or 2 matches. And we're just going to focus on the side of the SanAntonio schools. We're not going to focus on districts 1 and 2, or districts 1, 2, and 3, depending on the brackets. So we'll do that. Then we'll do a little bit of UIL, and with a little bit of the TAPPS, there is some Rafa Index or Rafa Power Index selections in there. So when we do the standings, there'll be a number next to them if they are in it. Rafa will probably go in and highlight them a little bit more. We didn't do the dropped out for that here. We just did the 1 through 15 and then honorable mentions. There are a few that I'm like, hey, where are these? And he's like, hey, especially for the girls, it's jam packed for that here. So just to kind of set the agenda. Thank you for everybody that's tuning in. Like I said here, thank you for the support. Rafa gets, that I get, that Steve gets. Our goal is to just kind of promote the game as best as we can, get scores out. I will be promoting some other sites here that do a great job as well, especially down in the valley. Was rgvsoccerscores.com. Compared to Max Preps, you can at least get an idea of what's going on. That's probably the most complete, and for 5A28 boys and girls, I do the RC Audio, who do a great job of putting stuff together, not only soccer but for all sports. They had a big track and field special as well, and had live programming of the Harlandale McCollum, I think it was. The winner goes to the playoffs, loser goes home, and it was a 1-point game. So the guys did a great job calling that. But let's get to it, Rafa. Let's look at the TAPPS here. We'll get started here. We'll go with the boys. Division 1, District 3. Number 2, as you'll see, Central Catholic, 12-1-2, 5-0. TMI and Antonians, we'll see who gets into that 4th slot. One of them is going to be staying home. And then the 2 Austin teams, St. Dominic and St. Michael's. Like I said here, your thoughts on the Division 1 Division 1 District 3, boys. I hate that they do the D and D.
Yeah, so Central Catholic is pretty much, like I said, they get a couple more wins, will lock up the district title and the number 1 seed, which I don't see any issues with them doing that. But also, I have them as my number 2 team in my RPI. So, like I said, just that one loss against Lee, that was a close game too. Like I said, it was a great, exciting game because I went to that one. TMI is trying to hold off Antonian. Antonian's trying to, maybe they don't want to go on any fishing trips starting next week. So if they can get a win, who knows? They may end up having a tiebreaker, and they may have to play a game or flip a coin or something. But at least the one thing is we're gonna have 2 teams representing there in the playoffs.
So I'm just kind of looking at the Division 1 playoffs. 3-1 would be Central Catholic. They would get right now Tomball Concordia Lutheran, St. Dominic Savio and St. Prius X. That would be an excellent match. And then at the bottom, St. Michael's, and then the Village School out of Houston. And then either TMI or Antonian would most likely have to travel to Houston St. Thomas here for that here. So, but the road becomes very interesting if St. Prius does get past, St. Dominic, the collision with Central Catholic, because, like I said here, I know you've covered the TAPPS a whole lot longer than I have, but St. Prius is typically a quality team, we'll just say, especially come playoff time.
Yeah, so they, like I said, it's going to be a tough road, like I said, for Central Catholic. But the one thing, like I said, they're familiar with those teams because remember they played them the last couple of years.
For the last 2 years,
so, yeah. So they know what they're going to be go up against. So we'll see how it goes, and don't count out TMI. You never know. I know they gotta if they do play St. Thomas, and I know it's a tall task, but like I said, we see some crazy things happen in the playoffs. So there's no gimmies in this one. So it's, like I said, I'm hopefully we'll get well represented, have another representative at the state tournament for TAPPS for San Antonio.
So moving to Division 2, District 3, San Antonio Christian Lions, 17-3-1, 7-2. I think they beat St. Mary's last night because the earlier round it was St. Mary's first. St. Mary's falls to the honorable mention, 11-3, 7-2. Brownsville, St. Joseph Academy, 6-2. Big change. Last year there were 4 slots. This year there's 3. And so, like I said here, St. Mary's, they've got a 3-game edge, or 2.5, 3, 3.5 game edge to put. What, that's 8, that's 9. So I guess they got another game that they could do, but they're looking good to make the playoffs. Coming through and talking about the seeding, which we'll talk about here in a second here. Your thoughts so far on them?
St. Mary's Hall's really done a great job this season. I know they had a setback last night. I think had they won that game, I think they would have pretty much clinched the district title. It's important for them to hold on to that 2 seed because, getting that 3rd seed more likely guarantees you a road trip out to probably the Houston area, kind of like what we saw last year. So,
right now would be Houston Cypress Christian for that, because right now the 3-1 would go against Spring Frazzati Catholic. Sugarland Fort Bend Academy would be 4.2. Houston Cypress, which would be the runner-up, would, I'm assuming, host the 3rd seed from the District 3 for that here. So that right now that was Brownville St. Joseph. And then bottoming out the bracket, you got Houston Lutheran that'll finish, with the runner-up. Now that would be St. Mary's, which would be a tough match, and then Houston Second Baptist and Woodlands Christian Academy. But yeah, falling into that 3rd, you play an extra match against a team from Houston and probably a quality team as well.
Yeah, so it's still up for grabs, going into coming to the last game of the season. If somehow, let's say, if SanAntonio Christian happens to lose a game, we could possibly see a 3-way tie, for first place, and we may have to see some, I guess, like what we saw on Friday Night Lights, some coin flips going out. And actually, so SanAntonio Christian does play Victoria St. Joseph. They shouldn't have any problems there. Now, the one thing with St. Mary's Hall, they do have to face. Like I said, I think their season might be done. I think they might have one game pending with Brownsville St. Joseph. So whoever wins that game probably will end up getting that 2 seed. And St. Mary's wants to keep that 2 seed so I can at least host a game. Because going on the road, if you saw that lower bracket, it's probably much more tougher bracket than than the top one. So, so it's like I said, still up for grabs, and we'll see by this weekend who has what as far as do we have 3 teams in the district title race, or with district titles, or like I said, what we see right now.
In Division 3, District 5, you got Corpus Christi, Carterwood, Geneva, Corpus Christi, JP2, the Christian School at Castle Hills, and Holy Cross. Once again, only 3 teams gets in, and I think it's the 3 teams that are in the top playoffs spots right now. However, still a lot of volatility in the top 3. Maybe Geneva can sneak in. They got a lot of work. They still have some work to do, though.
Yeah. Like I said, it's not still in it. If they can get a win, like I said, maybe they can get a tie for the district title, and maybe still get that 1 seed, or maybe they play a playoff. We'll see. But pretty much, I think they have it clinched. But they do have to hold off of St. John II, because I think a loss by Geneva could flip them to that 3rd seed. And like I said, that means going on the road. So, and you know how important having a home game to kind of start off the district play, I expect to the playoffs, could really kind of set the tone how far you go here in TAPPS.
Yeah. And then looking at it here for Division 1 or Division 3, District 6, only 2 teams make it. Your number 15 team, New Braunfels Christian Academy, 8-1, 5-0. On the boys' side, JP2 3-2, the Atonement Academy 2-3, and Kerrville, Our Lady of the Hills Hawks 0-5, and unfortunately winless on the season. Looking at the bracket here, 5-1 Corpus Christi would get a bye. Houston British International would play Brian Brazos. Brian Joseph would play Houston St. Thomas. The winner of 6, New Braunfels Christian, would get a bye, but then they would play, the winner of Brian St. Joseph and St. Thomas, so a tough matchup. Houston, Northland Christian, and here's where the second team comes in. Whether it's Corpus Christi Incarnate Word or Geneva for that here, depending on how it feels. Beaumont Legacy would most likely travel to Corpus. Depending on who finishes second, and I think the expectations would be that it would be Church JP2. So you could have a Geneva versus JP2 on the boys' side, because the girls' side, that's a must watch. And then, of course, the winner of that would face Katy Free West Academy, most likely out in Katy there. So getting the first seed gives you a bye. This bracket, if you don't finish in first, you're most likely going to be playing in the bye district round.
Yeah, and it's interesting that game, possible rematch of a rivalry game from last year, that you see on the first round between Geneva and JP2. I'm sure that game would be in the San Antonio, or more likely whoever's the 2 seed's gonna end up hosting it. So which will be right now JP. Yeah. So that'd be a good game. That'd be an intense game. But like I said, they do have a tall task with that Katy Faith team, in the second round.
So here's the question: would you rather face a Beaumont Legacy Christian Academy and then play Houston Northland Christian? Or would you rather play JP2 and then have to face Katy Faith? Because that's really 2 and 3 that you're going to have to face.
It's kind of like picking your poison. No disrespect to, like I said, Beaumont Legacy. We don't know, like I said, how they're doing this year. Like I said, maybe, if you get a convincing win, that you can rest up your players and be prepared for the next round, would be great. Because, here with Shirts and Geneva, it's going to be a dogfight, and both teams are going to probably wear each other out, and what's going to be left that second round's going to could tell what's going to happen there, if they could be able to advance or not.
So moving over to the ladies, Austin St. Michael's 6-0, Antonian 4-1. Their one loss is to St. Michael's. Dominic, Austin St. Dominic, Savio 3-3, and then TMI or Incarnate Word, who got off to a good start but struggled unfortunately here in district here. This one does have 4 slots for it here, because it's 3 versus 4 for that here. So your thoughts? It seems like St. Michael's, at least so far, has been in control of the district here, but Antonio is your number 8 team in the Rafa Power Index.
That's their only loss, I guess, in district play. I'm sure they're going to have a rematch, and if Antonio can get a win, that could change things as far as their seeding. TMI and Carnivore, like I said, it could go to the last, the last game, who actually gets that last spot. Between both of them, it depends on who has a tiebreaker too. So, like I said, we're probably more. Like I said, we are going to have 2 representatives from San Antonio advance in the playoffs.
So on this one here, basically, it's going to be 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. So you got Austin St. Michael's versus the Village School, St. Dominic versus Katy St. John the 23rd. You got Antonian versus Houston St. Prius, which is a juicy match. And then right now, TMI and St. Agnes for that here. But, for Antonian, that's a tough road to have to pay St. Prius and then St. Agnes, assuming you get past, if you finish in the second spot. for the here. And I'm not saying the Village School isn't a quality team, or the Katy St. John's, or the St. Dominic, but to me, like I said here, if you could kind of squeeze into that top spot, historically avoid the St. Prius and St. Agnes, that lessens your path just a tad.
Yeah. I mean, if Antonio can, like I said, if this remains the same for next week, like I said, they have a tall task, but you got to beat these type of caliber teams, because if you remember North Texas,
right?
You got Ursuline and the Plano schools, and that's like murder's row there. So it's if you're gonna beat the best, you gotta play the best. So, but like I said, it's preparation for that, because you never know, like I said, what could happen. But like I said, the Antonio girls have been having a good season, and like I said, they're still in the running for that district title. If they can get a win against St. Michael's, things could change, and maybe they have a better path to get to, try to get past the regionals to the state semifinals.
Moving to TAPPS, Division II, District 3, San Antonio Christian, 5-0. St. Mary's 4-2. Victoria St. Joseph 1-4, and St. Anthony Catholic 1-5. I think St. Mary's and San Antonio Christians were only 3. Get the spot, are pretty safe on there here, and I'm just trying to double check, make sure you didn't have San Antonio Christian in your top. Yeah, you didn't. Just wanted to make sure. For that here, so your thoughts on how District 3 is looking?
Pretty much how this kind of played out, but you got to give kudos to St. Mary's Hall. They've had a good season, but like I said, San Antonio Christian's been kind of dominating this district for quite some time. But we'll see how, like I said, how the playoffs matchup goes for them. And then also for St. Anthony, one thing also for St. Anthony's, can they, get a chance, an opportunity to get in, or are they pretty much their season's done? Like I said, they're a game behind Victoria. If they get a win, that could change some things there. But like I said, the path is going to be a little difficult. Like I said, San Antonio Christian, last year we had high hopes for them, but they kind of faltered.
Flamed out early, right?
Yeah, they flamed out early. Yeah. So I think they kind of want to redeem themselves, and luckily, like I said, having that bye is going to help out. But they are going to have a tough team in that Sugarland team. If they can get by them, like I said, I think they have a good shot, getting. As I said, they won't play in any 1 seeds. You'll have some 2 seeds. I think they can match up with. The one team that they have to kind of watch out for is like that Emory school, and then also the
that's who St. Mary's would start. So
yeah.
St. Mary's would face there, and then Beaumont,
Kelly,
Monsignor Kelly Catholic, which historically is a powerhouse as well. A couple of thing here: if you do finish third for Victoria St. Joseph or St. Anthony's, would most likely be traveling to Houston to face Cypress Christian. And then on the other side, Houston Second Baptist and Spring Frazzati Catholic would play. So you'll have the 2-2-3 seeds there face off, where St. Mary's gets the bye. To most likely have to travel. You'd think to the number 1 seed from District 4, Houston, the Emory Winder School. So a little bit tough break maybe for there, and might be if they do get a rematch, maybe something that they can try to get into that first seed for that here. And then moving to the last one here for Division 3, District 4. Geneva 8-1-1. They did get the win against JP2 this past week. JP2 is number 12 on your list. Geneva didn't even crack the honorable mention.
But they're getting there. They're getting there. They're getting there.
The Atonement Academy's kind of sneaky as well, 7-2-1. So don't sleep on them. And then New Braunfels Christian Academy, San Marcos Academy, the Lady Bears. And then, unfortunately, the Holy Cross and Corpus Christi JP2s playing out the season right now. But Still a lot to work here for that here. Well, actually, I think Geneva's done at 10 games. So is the Atonement here. So like I said here, I guess JP2 could still get through with a win based
the district title,
based on the last standings here. But yeah, to me, because I know we talked about Geneva, their early season record wasn't where I thought it would have been, but you said, hey, watch out for district, and so far district, they lived up to it.
Yeah, so they, like I said, they got some little payback on for that loss, and but still, like I said, their district season's kind of done. So Shirts just needs that one win to basically win the overall district title, and that ties really against the Atonement is really kind of hurting them too. So yeah, you mentioned about Atonement.
They might have two more. Well, it might have 2 more games because there's 7 teams, so that'd be 12.
So
they might have 2 more.
Yeah, so so it's not maybe it's not still late. Well, actually, right now I did get an update. So Geneva did beat Holy Cross 6-0 earlier today. So
they got another one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they may have one more game.
So there may be one more game left. But like I said, you see, they have that tie. So they're like a half a game behind
JP2.
JP2. So it could, like I said, come down to, and they kind of last year it came down towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
But what can you say about Atonement? They've for making that switch, they've really had a breakout season. Like I said, this is their breakout season, and I would not want to be a team to play them because you never know what they could bring out.
So looking at here, Veritas Academy out of Austin right now is the number 1 seed, 3-1. 4-3 would face Northland Christian. I believe that's out of Houston.
Mm-hmm.
For that here, I'm assuming that would be a coin flip since they're both seeded 3rd, depending on how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
British International School of Houston, Geneva, Live Oak Classical out of Waco, and JP2, depending on how that is. So you could see Geneva and Church JP2 flip. And then TMI would get New Braunfels Christian Academy, the winner between New Braunfels Christian and San Juan Diego Catholic, pardon me, out of Austin there, just to make sure I get that right here. So any teams that stick out to you as far as possible challengers?
I mean, this could be the Geneva JP2 show again, like we had last year. I mean, we had the trilogy last year. We probably have the trilogy again this year. But you do have some couple, potential spoilers like Veritas, and like you look at the bottom, St. Thomas. But also you got to keep an eye on the Atonement. Atonement could surprise some teams, and maybe could see Geneva again in that regional round. You never know. But like I said, you have your 2 favorites from the last few years. They're on the collision or course again to see who gets to the semifinal.
So that's the TAPPS kind of preview bracketology, just looking at our side of the brackets here and the TAPPS standings. One thing that we didn't get to on your Rafa Power Index, and it's just because of the district that they're in, is Cornerstone Christian out of the, was it TCAL? 16-3-3. They were your 14th ranked team. Any thoughts on Cornerstone? And like I said here, I know their record's impressive, but I don't think they have playoffs, or
no,
it's not playoffs that we follow. Yeah,
they're not really technically in the district. They play more of an independent, games and so forth. Maybe, like I said, maybe next year though. Like I said, next year or a couple of years they'll get back into TAPPS. We'll see. It'd be nice to see them in that. I think they'll do well in TAPPS. More likely they'll probably be in I guess in that 6A or maybe for 5A or 6A. But I think both the boys and the girls, I think they would do well.
Any way they could go UIL?
That's been the question. I mean, they could. I mean, if Dallas Jesuit,
I don't know what their enrollment is.
Dallas Jesuit and Houston Straight Jesuit are both. Those are the 2 only private schools in the UIL. Like I said, they got placed in 6A. Not sure if Cornerstone would want that. If the B put in the 6A, more likely they'll be in that Northeast district. So they'll probably be in that Northeast district with Reagan and Lee and. Like
or would they be more over with Steele and so they're just? And the reason I say that is the Northeast is already.
Well, they have 8 teams. Yeah, they have 8 teams, so they'll probably be the 9th team. So, like I said, geographically, they would be closer to the Northeast district teams.
I still think you could see them, in the other one there, because I think they'd be far more competitive. And with the Judson Steel, maybe not football wise, but most of the other sports, I think that they would be. But to me, like I said here, for Cornerstone, like I said here, whether it's TAPPS or UIL, and I hate to say it because I don't want it to pass, but depends what this voucher thing that Governor Abbott's trying to push too. If that goes through, I wonder if that changes things when it comes to, the school availability. Because if you got athletes that you're able to push through to be able to give them that competition, you're not going. No offense to TCAL, you're going to play a higher level, whether it's TAPPS or UIL.
I think with UIL, because like I said, with Dallas Jesuit and Houston Strike Jesuit, they have to meet certain guidelines. I think the biggest thing is the recruitment thing, because technically it is a private school. They can technically go there. Like I said, I know private schools, you do have to be admitted because there is an admission process, but that doesn't mean hey, come play with us and so forth.
Recruitment doesn't take place, is what you're saying.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what UIL kind of frowns upon, but like I said, that's why like I said, they have those guidelines, and but I don't know how they will enforce it. That's a whole different.
That's a whole different discussion. Because now you got name, image, and likeness, and there's a whole bunch of other things that are going to be coming in. But so to me, that was one thing I did want to make sure we got Cornerstone brought into the discussion, and I figured that was the perfect time to do it before we transition to the UIL. Moving to 4A for UIL. I have basically the things here. So the non-San Antonio areas we'll go through pretty quick. Austin Northeast, Austin Achieve, Burnett, Jarrell, Lago Vista, probably still, those are the top 5 that you mentioned before for that here. For the girls, Burnett, Lago Vista, Georgetown Gateway, Austin Northeast. So you got 4 quality teams and then the drop off. So I think it's just a matter of who finishes where in the top 4 for that one there. Moving to 26 on the boys, Fredericksburg and Davenport started the district 2-0. Bandera, Marble Falls, 1 win, 1 loss, and Canyon Lake and Wimberley both dropped their first 2. Any thoughts on? I know it's very early in district, but it's a short district season with 6 teams.
Well, the surprise is Marble Falls losing, and were considered one of the district favorites. Them losing to Fredericksburg 4-3 was a little eye-opening there. So then to have Fredericksburg on top, Davenport, also they started up real slow, but if you notice the teams, they played a really tough non-district schedule because they knew that going into this district they had to be prepared, especially into the playoffs. So you're starting to see it now. They're, like I said, they're off to a good start. Yeah, a little surprised that Canyon Lake's kind of down there, and also Wimberley. But it just shows how competitive this district for the boys, even without Birdie, is still competitive. Still early, anything can happen.
How about Bandera getting a win?
Yeah, that's a big one for them. I think that's a team to keep an eye on. I think they have a good shot.
Shout out to the Bulldogs, because I'll admit I dismissed them. I was like, hey, and I know it's early, but to be able to come out first week or so and get a win on the board, huge confidence for that here, and some work to do for Canyon Lake and Wimberley for that here. Moving to the ladies, we got some Rafa Power Index here on the ladies' side. Number 2, Wimberley, 13-1, 2-0. Canyon Lake and 1-0-1. Looks like they drew Fredericksburg. Honorable mention and Davenport 9-1-1. or from 9-1-1, 1-1 in district. Marble Falls 1-1 in district. Fredericksburg with the loss and win, and then unfortunately on the girls' side, Bandera 0-2. But the Lady Texans, pretty impressive.
That big win on Tuesday night, a comeback win from what we read, and then it's a good confidence booster for them. They've had a great season so far. Looking forward for the rematch. That should be interesting there. And like you mentioned about the boogeyman, the Canyon Lake Lady Hawks, they can't sleep on them. Even though I'm a little surprised they got a little tie. Like I said, I was so surprised. Like I said, they had a tie with Fredericksburg. Fredericksburg, like I said, they may be. I've seen them play. They could be a dark horse. If I'm Marble Falls, on the other teams, I keep an eye on them. I don't think they're out of the loop yet. I think the district title race is gonna, like I said, it can come down to the very last games. I think whoever was that second game between Davenport and Wimberley is probably gonna get it. But like I said, the Canyon Lady Hawks may have a say on this. But don't sleep on Fredericksburg. They can surprise you. They got some talented players. Like I said, they have a really strong forward up top, and so it's like I said, it's still early, but this is one of the toughest districts, and even with the loss of Brittany High, it's still a tough one.
But here's where you've said this many times. It's that those drop points to a draw that can make the difference between winning district and finishing second or third. And I know finishing second, may not have, depending on what your attendance is, may not have the weight that it did in the past. Where here you could still finish, first or second, and still, depending on your attendance, be still seated number one, depending on if you're Division I or Division II for that here. So, but interesting. Moving to 27 boys. Lavernia 6-0 in district. SanAntonio Cole 4-2. Gonzales, the team you said to watch out for, 3-1-2. Memorial on your honorable mentions, 3-2-1. Kennedy 2-3. Luling for that here. But Lavernia number 12 on the Rafa Power Index.
Yeah, so far Lavernia's, like I said, they were my district favorite. Still got a long way to go, but I think they'll get things done. The surprise is going to be SanAntonio Cole. Even though they had a loss yesterday against Gonzales, first year UIL competition, to be in second place. Like I said, they have a really good shot at getting to the playoffs. I mentioned about Gonzales. Keep an eye on this team. They're going to be a very dangerous team, especially if come playoffs. If this remains the way it is, Gonzales can be very dangerous in Division II. And we've kind of seen some of the preliminary, as far as with the brackets, Gonzales, this could be favorable for them to make a deep run. And then Memorial, they started, like I said, I've seen them play a good team. They started strong. They had that shootout with the rival school, Kennedy. I expect a little bit more from them, but, like I said, I still give them an honorable mention. I think still early on, they can't take them lightly. Like I said, I think one
more bad result and they're off the list, though.
One more bad result. Yeah, and then Kennedy, like I said, they started out slow, but they're only game behind. It's not over yet. As far as the other three teams, I really don't see really them, making it, trying to make get in that last spot. So this is kind of like as far as playoff wise, is a 5-team race. But as far as district title, I think more than likely it's going to be Lavernia.
And what would be interesting is if Kennedy does get up there, then that pushes Memorial into Division II. And then, obviously Cole will be Division II. Obviously, Gonzales is most likely going to be Division II unless one of the bottom three move up here. But Kennedy moving in would change the dynamics of Division I, Division II. So that's one thing to kind of look out for, not only for this district, but, for upcoming districts that we're going to be talking about as well. Moving to the ladies, Lavernia, number 4, 6-0. So Lavernia, both boys and girls, undefeated in district. Gonzales, 5-1, honorable mention. Luling, a little bit surprised because they're a young program, 2-2. Yoakum and SanAntonio Cole. Cole with the 3 draws. For that here. And then you got Memorial and Kennedy. So this one's still kind of open for 3 and 4, I think. But I think obviously for 1 and 2, like I said here, it's a race between Lavernia and Gonzales.
Yeah, so Lavernia girls, like I said, they're number 14 for the power rankings. Great season so far. They should, like I said, have no problem winning this district. Real surprise, just like the boys, the girls of Gonzales. Great season for them. Right now, runner up, and I think weren't likely probably going to end up finishing there. And then the last 3 spots, I think it's a 3-team race. Luling for a 2A school, playing up two divisions and first year in high school, like I said, playing in varsity level. Gotta give props to them. They may make the playoffs their first year. Yoakum trying to hold on there. I was a little surprised. Cole, like I said, those 3 ties could, like you mentioned, those could affect them down the road. Like I said, they got some talented players there. Can they kind of get it to here, start getting some wins? Because the more ties you get, it's more of a setback. So they're still a long way to go. But like I said, I think those are the 5 teams as far as a playoff race. I think those are the 5 teams you're gonna see contending.
So no teams that were in the Rafa Power Index for District 28 for the boys. Floresville 3-0. Uvalde, we talked about them the last show. Slow starters, don't pay attention to their non-district. 3-0. Somerset, you keep hyping them up. 2-0. Pleasanton 2-2. Hondo 1-4, and Poteet. I don't think Pearsall's playing. There's a couple of teams that were announced, but I don't, have not played yet. So I just think most likely that they didn't. I'm assuming they didn't have enough people come out for that here, so they're not playing this year. But Floresville, Uvalde, I think will probably finish top 2. I know Somerset's probably got something to say, but to me, that Pleasanton Hondo, that gap's already starting to grow early.
Yeah, like I said, it was like business as usual for Floresville and Uvalde. Floresville started out strong. Remember, they were 6-1 at the time. I know they went to that the Border Olympics tournament, which they played a lot of 6A and 5A teams from the Valley and Laredo. They had some setbacks there, but like I said, I think that helped them out as far as playing better competition. And now you're seeing the results out of this. With a 3-0 start. I think same thing with Uvalde. Somerset may be the surprise. I know, like I said, they started 0-6-1, but they had a tough non-district schedule. I think that's helped them out. And then, can Pleasanton hold off Hondo from that last spot? Like I said, it's gonna be interesting when they meet.
Moving to 28 ladies, also nobody in the Rafa Power Index. I do think that'll change as we get closer to the end of the season. Floresville, 4-0-1. Pleasanton, 3-0-1. Uvalde, 3-1. Somerset, 3-1. And then it drops from there. So your thoughts on the 28 ladies?
I think this is a 4-team race. Like I said, it's still open. I think it's wide open. I know Uvalde's kind of dominated the last few years with Floresville and Pleasanton. Like, those kind of been the big 3. But you got to give it to Somerset. Like I said, they've really kind of turned things around. And I think they missed out last year. And this year, like I said, they have a good shot. And they're kind of distancing themselves from the other teams here. So, but like I said, in the end, like I said, I think, like I said, Floresville, Pleasant, and Uvalde are probably going to be the ones that are going to be finding out for that district title.
The interesting thing on this is how close the attendance is between Floresville and Somerset. It's 23 students, which could determine Division I or Division II. For that here. So for that here, moving to 29. This is from FC Ingleside. So thank you for posting the district stats here. The overalls, off of the district and max preps. London 24, Santa Cruz, SGA 21, Beeville Jones 16, Toulouse Midway jumped Ingleside this past week 15-14. You keep talking up Cal Allen, but the gap keeps
Well, more of the girls, not
More of the
much
girls?
of the boys. Yeah.
Oh, now the boys. Okay.
Yeah, no, not the boys. Yeah, more of the girls. But London, like I said, they went deep last year. Uh, I think, like I said, they're gonna probably end up in Division Two. They could be the favorite for Division Two.
We
And
talked about
we,
that
we
over on
talked that
Sunday.
and then it'd be an interesting game for them to play Gonzalez. I think that'd be a good. I think that'd be a good game if they do meet in the playoffs. St. Gertrude's has been a surprise, for having the smallest enrollment out of the 9 teams, to be at 7-1. That says something there. And like I said, Beeville Jones, like I said, they've been one of teams that, like I said, they've had some upsets in the playoffs in the past. Remember, they did beat Lavernia a couple of years ago, and Tulsa Midway, like I said, they're trying to hold off Ingleside. I think the last spot's going to probably come down to TM and Ingleside, so we'll see when they face each other again.
On the ladies, London, Rockport, Fulton, Cal Allen, Beeville Jones, and then it drops. Tulsa Midway, Ingleside through there. But like I said here, to me, I think the top spot is maybe, I think London would probably be favored, but it'll be interesting who finishes second in there.
Yeah, don't count out Callan out of this yet. I think they could still catch up. Rockport Fulton, they've, like I said, big surprise this year. They still, like I said, within striking distance of getting that district title. I think Beeville Jones pretty much has that locked for that last spot of the playoffs. London, like I said, if they can win the district title, they'll have that top seed for their Division 2. And I think they may be the favorites for Division 2 because we saw a lot of our stacked teams for 4A girls are going to go the Division 1 route. So,
right.
So this could be interesting for them. This could be the year for them to get to the state semifinals.
So what's interesting on this is really you got two separate races for the number one seats because you look at the attendance number. London's going D2, and barring Ingleside or one of the teams that's outside of the top four, but we're already saying, hey, there's most likely it's already going to be the top four. Really, if you're London, you just got to finish ahead of Fulton to get that top seed for D2-1. Same thing with Cal Allen with Beeville Jones. So for that here, moving to 30, Far Valley View 26, Hidalgo 23 points, Mission Idea North Mission at 20. Far at 18, then there's a gap, to 13 with Vanguard, Mozart, and Santa Maria Cougars. And thank you to RGV Soccer Scores for this here, for that here, and then the drop. But to me, like I said here, Valley View and Hidalgo always favorites. And if you look at the attendance, you can see clear top two that'll be going Division 1. And then most likely the two idea schools, North Mission and Far, going to D2.
Yeah, you can tell that as far as the talent wise, the depth is going to a big difference in this district. Like I said, for Valley View, like I said, they have a brand new coach who is the former head coach at Hidalgo. So I'm sure he's enjoying getting some payback, But it's going to be interesting. Like I said, you're going to have these two powerhouses in the Division 1 bracket, and then you have another one in District 31 that one of these two teams do not want to face in round and maybe in round 2. So, but like I said, Hidalgo, like I said, they won state a couple years ago. So, like I said, they're still going to be strong. But Valley View dropping off from 5A to 4A. I think, like I said, they're going to make some noise this year in Region 4.
I'm trying to see if I can find it here. And then moving on to, where's it? For the ladies, Far Valley View, Hidalgo 1918, Rembrandt Spartans 17, Vanguard Beeville 12, Beethoven 12. And then Guerrilla Gators, the Rio Grande City at 8, and then the break there. kind of already dust settled for the top 4 as well in this one?
Don't count out Grilla. I mean, they're still within a couple points, couple games, but you never know, anything can happen. But your 2 clear favorites are Valley View and Galago for that district. Like I said, so no surprise. Like I said, for Far Vanguard, to still be in contention. Like I said, they're only 2 points away from the district lead. So real competitive in the top 3.
And then moving to 31, Progresso, 24 points. Donna, 15, and it looks like I missed reorganizing this. Idea Quest at 14, Alamo at 13, and then 9 for Edinburgh and Monte Alto for that here. So
yeah, this is the Progresso Invitational. They probably already won the district title already, so they should probably already give them the championship. I think also here is interesting. Here, are they the first 20-win team in the state of Texas for high school soccer? Because we're already at 20-0, so they may be the first team in right now to have 20 wins. So that's pretty impressive. Like I said, they're gonna be in Division 1, regardless, unless somehow Raymondville comes out of nowhere. Well, like I said, they'll still be in Division 1, so it's really no exception. But the interesting part is, that second round game, who they face.
Yeah.
Will it be Valley View or is it going to be?
Hold on, I'm trying to pull that up here if I can click on the right things here. 1 second here. So this doesn't take into consideration results from this week here.
Mm-hmm.
This was us just kind of talking about how things were shaping up here. So let me get this. Okay, so I got D1 here, and then I'll bring this on here. So right now, this is how it would look for 4A, and I haven't done 5A yet, but just to kind of answer the discussion what we were talking about here. You'd have Austin Northeast, which is a powerhouse, Davenport, Lavernia, Somerset, Beeville, Jones, Hidalgo, and then this is the matchup you're talking about, Progresso and Brownsville Rivera. But Hidalgo, I think you'd favor Hidalgo over Beeville Jones.
Mm-hmm.
You would have a Progresso versus Hidalgo in the
round 2 area round. Yeah.
Bottom half of Division 1, Marble Falls, Burnett, Uvalde, Memorial, Far, Valley View, at the time was Ingleside, and Port Isabel and Donovan here. So that's where it kind of comes into, especially for the because we can pretty much already say Progresso is 131, but whoever wins or loses in Division 1 on District 30, their path having to go through Progresso is a lot tougher. But we will also say this: last year there was a surprise upset early as well. So not counting chickens yet, but that's what Rafa's talking about as far as
if you look at like a Davenport, if Davenport wins district, they'll end up going to the bottom part, so they'll avoid that upper division is like the group of death there, and
Port Lavernia.
Yeah, Port Lavernia. I mean, Lavernia versus Northeast will be that's going to be a great game. And then, like I said, probably Hidalgo, Progresso. So you have an opportunity to have a quality match in that third round game. It's going to be a shame because one's going to end up getting eliminated. And Marble Falls too, like I said, they may end up playing against Northeast. So it's seedings do matter when it comes to this and where your placement is, because being in the bottom part of that bracket is could change things, and avoid a lot of those powerhouses early on, even though you still have Water Valley View. But I mean, things can happen. So it'll be interesting once we kind of update more on this further down the season.
More on the for Division 2, because we got into that discussion. 1 second here, and Jesus is Progresso on Heat 20-0. Yeah, they're in a different level down there. Austin Achieve versus Bandera, Cole versus Pleasanton, London versus Far, Idea Far, a couple Alamo School, Alamo Idea, and then Brownsville Idea, Frontier, Fredericksburg and Jarrell, Floresville, Gonzales. That's the matchup that you were talking about through there. And then Mission, Idea, North Mission, and then SGA, and then Brownsville Jubilee, and then Edinburgh Quest. This one doesn't have the same name brand, but I know Floresville, Gonzales, in talking with you, would be must watch for that here. And to me, that if it is Cole and Pleasanton, that does come through. That would be a nice matchup for to be able to see as well.
Yeah, you also could look at Fredericksburg. Fredericksburg could make a run too. I think they have a good chance to get to at least to the third round.
You think they'd get by Floresville or Gonzales?
Yeah, I think so. But if you look at the top part, you have Austin Achieve, which is a really good team. But they're on the collision course for that Christian London team. So I think whoever wins out of those two games probably be your favorite for Division 2 for Region 4.
So that's our kind of playoff bracket of this show here is the 4A here. Next week we'll do 5A to kind of take a look at it here. For that here. District 31 on the ladies, and we just did the boys. I'll make it up with the girls as well here. We got into a discussion on the Hidalgo, and I was like, well, hold on, let's map it out. Raymondville, Enberg, Idea, West Laco, Idea, and then Progresso, and then it's kind of a small gap, I guess. 5 points, still doable with Alamo Idea for that here, but Edinburgh is in the lead, what followed up by Raymondville, and then West Laco and Progresso.
So competitive league. So like I said, still early on.
Brownsville Jubilee, and then Port Isabel, Brownsville Frontier, Brownsville Riverview, all at 15 points. And then it kind of breaks down. So I think you got a 6-point gap, but good luck picking out who's coming out on top.
If I'm Brownsville next year, I have all the Brownsville teams play against each other in a preseason tournament. So you get your 6A, your 5As, and your 4As play in one of the Brownsville Invitational. See who wins the city championship.
So, and then for the ladies, like I said, this is the one district that still doesn't report even with RGV soccer scores. Riverview 6-0, 18, Port Isabel at 15, and then Jubilee at 7, Robin through here. But like I said here, I'm not sure if Frontier is playing because they have not recorded a game as of yet. So like I said here, Brownsville Idea Sports Park only has 4 matches compared to everybody else has got 5, 6 matches. So this one's probably a little bit there. So moving to 5A, Austin Leander Glen, 5-1, Cedar Park, Lockhart Lions on the girls' side, still impressive, 4-2, Leander, and then Liberty Hill at 2-2. I know you said don't count them out as of yet. Thoughts on this one real quick?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised Liberty Hill's kind of down. Same thing with Leander Rouse too. That's a little surprise. They're 5 and 6. Kudos to Lockhart boys. This could be the year they get into the playoffs. And Leander Glen, that's the team to keep an eye on. And then there might be on the collision course with a team here that we're pretty familiar with, but still it'd be a great game. So and then with this could be the obstacle too. So, but also like I said, Leander's having also kind of a little down season, but like I said, they're still in the hunt. I think it's still a kind of early on 3-team race for that last spot. Like I said, things can change, because you have so many close teams close to their enrollment. Someone can flip from one Division 1 to Division 2. So,
yeah.
I think the only for sure thing is you do know that pretty much Glenn is going to go D1.
Yeah. Moving on the ladies for 25. Cedar Park, Leander Rouse, Liberty Hill, and then a gap. Buda Hayes right now, 2-3-1. Leander 2-3-1. Lockhart 1-4. Leander Glen 1-4. I think the only one you could probably count out would be Kyle Lehman for that final spot. But I think the top three are set, and then it's just a matter of seeding.
Yeah, Cedar Park's been the surprise. Well, I don't know. Talking to Coach Cano, like I said, that's a team to keep an eye on this year. If I'm District 26, that's one team I'd avoid playing. And that'd be interesting because they could, like I said, right now they're in Division 1.
They'd be D2. No, they'd be D2.
Yeah, D2. I mean, the D2. Yeah. But if Buda Hayes happens to kind of drop or
no.
Okay, so I'm looking at it.
Them and Liberty Hill. Yeah, the color's off, but them and Liberty Hill will be D2. They're the two smallest schools.
Okay, so yeah, so pretty much, like I said, they may have like I said, kind of looking at the route they have. This could be the year for them, and I think Leander Lions, like I said, I know they've had a good seasons the last few years. A little drop, like I said, they might be rebuilding Leo Young. Lockhart started off strong, and they've kind of faltered a bit, but like I said, they're still in the hunt. They're still within striking distance. They just had to get hot in the second half of the season to maybe try to get back and kind of steal some wins and maybe get that 4th spot.
So in this one, you'll see District 26 boys, a couple of teams in the Rafa Power Index. Piper 8-0, Bernie 6-1-1, New Braunfels, the Unicorns 5-2-1, and then it becomes a mess for 4th and 5th between Smithson Valley and Alamo Heights, 3-2-3 and 3-3-2. Bernie Champion kind of out or still hanging in it?
Those draws are they're gonna come in. They are a big factor in that. I mean, wondering how many of those games that they had the lead or make those wins, they'd probably be in that 5th spot or even the 4th spot. It's like I said, there's 3 teams I think vying for, like I said, between Smithson Valley, Alamo Heights, and Champion, vying for possibly that last playoff spot. I think Piper and I think Bernie pretty much kind of should have no issue, as far as locking up the, unless they have an epic meltdown. Like I said, I don't think that's going to happen. There should be clinching the playoff spots soon. New Braunfels, like I said, that dropped down from 6A to 5A. Like I said, they're in contention. As long as they can kind of keep on winning and not gets ties, they'll be fine. But like I said, it's a 3-team race for that 4th spot between Alamo Heights, Smithson Valley, and Bernie Champion.
Moving on to the girls' side, honorable mention for Smithson Valley, Piper 7th, and then you got Bernie, Alamo Heights, New Braunfels, and Bernie Champion all within a half a game of each other for the 2 final spots. So I think you got 2 clear. Well, I guess I wouldn't say clear. It's only a game and a half for that here turnaround. But early season, Smithson Valley and Piper probably pretty safe. And then, like I said here, the next is good luck trying to figure out how this is going to work out. But we knew it. We knew this was a 6-team race.
Yeah. And, the dynamics of this as far as the playoffs could change. If, right now you have, Piper and Bernie going, Piper and Smithson Valley going D1, but I mean, and
if
Bernie
New Braunfels sneaks in, then Piper goes D2. If New Braunfels or Bernie Champion gets, then the other one goes D2.
D2, yeah, they go D2. So it could really, change as far as the pathway, because we kind of know that D1 girls 5A is going to be probably pretty stacked. If you go D2, it may change a lot of those dynamics as far as your route getting to Georgetown. So But some great games go so far. Like I said, I have Piper at number 7. Honorable mention to Swinson Valley, which I'm sure, like I said, just wait a bit of it. I'm sure they'll crack the top 15 pretty soon. You know, they had a little slow start, but hey, they're resurging, and that's a great thing. Like I said, they play a tough schedule. Now they're showing their flexing their muscle in the district. Like I said, they're gonna. I wouldn't be surprised. They'll be, like I said, they get into the crack into the top 15. But like I said, 16 race. It's gonna winning games on the road is probably gonna be a big difference. I think in this district, or stealing points on the road is gonna probably be a big difference. Like I say, if you get a tie at someone else's place, that point could really come down to the difference of you getting in or not.
To me, is not losing points. Tivy, Memorial, and Wagner.
Yeah, and that too. Yeah, that too.
Moving on to the 27. Honorable mention for Burbank, 6-0-2. The Lanier Volks on the boys' side, number 11, 6-0-2. Then you have Edison and Jefferson at 4-2-1. Fox Tech at 3-3-2. I believe that is Steve's. Jefferson is.
Yeah.
And then Brack and Highlands hanging in there for here, and Seguin and Sam Houston playing out the string. Unfortunately, it looks like here. But nice to see 2 teams representative, at least the honorable mention out of 27 boys.
So I actually got to see these 2 teams play a couple of weeks ago. 2-2 tie, even though one of the goals controversial because I have it on video, and I know somebody may have something out with the refs. If you go watch that video, you probably agree. You didn't see this. But like I said, it's a competitive league, and like I said, Lanier, like I said, I did talk to the Lanier coaches. Just shout out to them. Hopefully they'll come on the show. And so far it's a great season. Actually, they just had a game against Fox Tech. They won their version of the Chili Bowl, or Classico, they called it. But competitive district, like I said, Fox Tech, like I said, moving up from 4A to 5A, they're still within striking distance against getting that last spot. So there's no gimmies in this game. I think they still have a chance. They just have to win some games, maybe getting some ties against the top half, the teams ahead of them, and then trying to get that win off from Jefferson, and maybe that could get them in.
Moving to 27 for the ladies, you got honorable mention for Jefferson and the Rafa Power Index. Seguin hanging in there, 5-1-1. Highlands 6-2. Edison, Lanier, and Fox Tech. Highlands a surprise.
Great season for them. I know last year they struggled a little bit, but this year they're within striking distance for the district title. So you'll see on the second go around if they can get some wins against against Seguin or Jeff.
But solid to make the playoffs though already. And I know they still got the second half to turn, but
yeah, as long as they don't stumble with any of the teams from 6 down to 9, I think they should be fine. They still, like I said, Lanier's still within striking distance for that last spot against Edison, but I think Edison may end up getting that. I think those 4 teams are end up representing the district for the playoffs.
So moving to 28, this is the one that I'm familiar with the most because my son plays in this district here. Southwest, you're number 1. Everybody's number 1, I think, in the San Antonio area. MacArthur, surprised they're still 9th. They took a tough loss to a Harlandale team who I saw them play against Jay and won a barn burner. And then last night was a little bit more defensively, but they pulled it out as well late against MacArthur there, at the Harlandale Sports Complex. Don't sleep on Eagle Pass CC Win at 12 points. John Jay, in my opinion, been a little bit hard done with some calls, through here, but I won't lie. They got a benefit of one call as well for that here. But this one here, like I said here, Legacy dropped a game that I think kind of surprised everybody to Southside. I know Jay's got Senior Day and Southwest on Saturday coming up, and then, they get Southwest out of the way. But to me, like I said here, I hate saying it, but Southwest is, I don't hate saying it, but Southwest is the clear clear favorite on here, and to me, it's who can get points off of 3 versus even McCollum. Is a solid team. Where they can beat you on any given day. Sorry, South Sam, for that here, but to me, I've been impressed with Harlandale. I know their record's not good, but having seen them play a couple of times, both against Jay and MacArthur, I'm not going to say they can beat Southwest or other teams, but as far as somebody that is rooting for Jay, it's going to be tough to replace them.
So. Yeah, they have some speedy players because I was with you at one of the games, and they've had a little resurgence here. But don't sleep on Southwest Legacy. They just barely lost to Southwest 2-1, and that was a very competitive game. Like I said, I was at the girls' game, which we'll talk about in the next. But that one, on the second, I think MacArthur kind of hurt themselves, losing that game because had maybe I don't know if they'll beat Southwest, but or even a tie, they could have still kind of came in a factor.
Well, you can't get ties, but yeah.
But yeah,
well, you got an extra point, but you got an extra point.
Yeah, getting a shootout win or something like that, Yeah, so it kind of was a little setback, but Legacy, they can still get into that second spot, and that can really kind of change something, not really change things because, like I said, they'll still go D1, but they're still a real dangerous team. Harlandale, I think the last spot's going to come down between Harlandale and Jay, but you did mention about CC Win. Can't sleep on them, and then Southside could surprise too. I think there's no gimmies in this game because you never know who somebody can sneak one in. You like I said, I've seen a couple of those games in this district. One little mistake can cost you a game. So
well, that's what cost Jay when they played Southwest Legacy. Goalkeeper kicked it out. The midfielder kicked it back, but didn't kick it back hard for. And a freshman from Southwest Legacy from about 20-25 yard line, just he nailed it. There's nothing doing it. Ended up 1-0, and it's those close games. And speaking as somebody who supports Jay, because my son plays there. They've lost the close games in the first half. The question is can Jay turn around? Because they have talent, but so do the other teams. They're this district. Even MacArthur, they, like I said here, to me, the clear talented team is Southwest. I don't think anybody's going to dispute that. But from MacArthur all the way down to, like I said here, John Jay, the second half, you could rearrange, you could see a lot of movement.
It's a very underrated district. As far as for depth, as far as these other teams, because they are very competitive. Like I said, Southwest is the class of the district, but the other teams, like I said, you can get surprised by anybody, and there's no gimmies in this one, and but like I said, it's a shit out each game, and if you're not bringing your A game, or you take someone lightly, it can cost you points, and it may end up costing you a playoff spot.
I will say this, and this is probably not something that we've been able to say with 28 before, but having Jay and MacArthur move over, this district will help get Southwest ready for that playoff run. And I know you've talked about how far can they go. I think this district, because, and I know when you look at the scores, when Southwest is on, they're on. And they beat MacArthur 6-1 or something like that,
or 8-1,
8-1, yeah, 8-1.
And it was close at the half too.
So, but to me, like I said here, that's the thing here. I'm looking forward to see them play Jay, at Gus on Saturday. I think it's at 12 or 2. I think it's at 12 or 2 along those. I'd have to double check, but I know that's where I'll be for that here. Along those lines. But moving on to the ladies, Southwest, John Jay 7-1, MacArthur 7-2, 3-team race for number 1, and then I think you got McCollum and Southwest Legacy battling out for that final slot. Harlandale, not saying they're out yet, but they've got a gap to catch up for that here, and especially where you've got 3 powerhouse teams with Southwest, John Jay, and MacArthur so far. Representing 28 for the ladies, and 13th ranked for Rafa Power Index, and Jay at 10th on the Rafa.
And
Power
number 15 for MacArthur too. So
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, I missed that. Sorry.
So,
Number 15th on MacArthur for that here. I apologize. That's my bad.
So yeah, this just has been a tough one, and remember the last time Southwest Legacy was sitting pretty at first place, and they've lost 4 in a row. And is it time to hit the panic button? Like I said, I was at the Southwest Legacy girls game versus Southwest Dragons, and it was a 1-0 game from that long. If you haven't seen, go to our X page. The goal's on there. I think it's already got over 2,000 views. It was a golazo. Like Willie just didn't even react to it. She just like saw it go in, and one of the best goals of the season. Southwest is kind of done a little resurgence, but it's coming. Like I said, I think it might come down to Jay, but don't count out MacArthur.
No.
They're in striking distance, and I think, and also they had, like I said, Southwest will play MacArthur at Comalander. I know MacArthur's got McCollum coming up soon, but it's a tight race here for like I said, it's a 5-team race. But if Legacy stumbles against South San, which the last time they played, they went to a shootout. If a loss or the shootout loss, that could really put them in a deep hole. I know right now John Jay is playing McCollum. I'm not sure. I don't think we have an update for that. Actually, let me see. I'm trying to see if we have an update for that.
And I will say you got to watch out for MacArthur. I've seen evidence of them in the wrestling room there. So beware of those tactics that are coming out from the Lady Brahmas, and not sure what the coach is doing. Having them in the wrestling room for that here. He's
been watching too much AEW, I think.
Just joking with Coach Kano, and like I said, it was a good team building exercise that they were doing here. But
I don't see any score updates from them because, like I said, I know they were playing tonight. They're at the Gus. So if anyone has an update, make sure if you can share it with us. But like I said, that was a key game too, because if John Jay wins that, that kind of pushes back McCollum basically even with Legacy. So that Legacy McCollum game could be, really, as far as getting that final spot, could be like I said, that could be the difference maker who gets in the playoffs or not.
And let's not forget number 1, number 2, facing off. I want to say this Friday. It's got to be Friday, right? I believe is when Jay.
Yeah, Friday at Southwest, I believe. Yeah.
Let me just see here.
Yeah, if the boys are playing on Saturday, more likely they're playing at Southwest, so it'll probably be on a Friday night at 7:30.
This is 5/8/28.
But I do know MacArthur's playing at Eagle Pass on Saturday.
Yeah, Southwest hosts 7:30 kickoff on Valentine's.
So take your Valentine's Day to a game.
That'll be a must-watch game. I might see if I can sneak over there. Moving to 29 for the boys: Flower Bluff, Corpus Christi Vets, Carroll, and then Gregory Portland, and then it drops off from there. I think those are going to be your top 4 seeds. Not sure, how much you really want to talk about this district on that.
We're pretty much set in stone there.
On the girls' side, a little bit of a different story, a little bit underrated on here, but Gregory Portland 9-0, Corpus Christi Ray 6-3, Vets 7-2, Flower Bluff 5-2, and then it kind of drops from there. So I think 29, the order may be a little bit different, depending on the seeding and stuff here. But I think the 4 teams are set, barring a turnaround for Corpus Christi Coral and for that here. Moving to 30, Laredo Nixon at 20, La Jolla Juarez Lincoln at 18, Laredo Martin at 17, Mission High School at 16, Palmview and Rio Grande City, the Rattlers at 13. Kind of close. as far as for top 6.
Yeah, they Nixon lost to Cuautitlan 1-0 and that was a home game for them, so those set back there. So Cuautitlan kind of got themselves back into the race for the district spot, but I don't think Nixon drops any. But they still have that rivalry game against Martin, so Mission and Palmview still kind of in it. So the thing with Rio Grande, still a tight race, but I think Nixon probably ends up winning the district.
On the ladies' side, Nixon at 21, Palmview at 20, Juarez Lincoln at 18, 16, and then Laredo Martin at 12. Probably the and then the drop off 8-point gap. So question would be Martin be able to get back in and get past either Mission Vets Memorial or La Jolla. Juarez Lincoln here, probably a little bit too much of a gap for there. 31 McAllen at 22, Mission Sharyland at 21. So kind of a 2-team race there. Pioneer at 16, and then you got the 2 McAllen schools, Memorial and Rowe, each at 14 points right now. And then you got PSJA North Raiders through there, but I'm assuming that this is the top, probably 1 and 2 with McAllen and Sharyland, and then Pioneer, Memorial, and Rowe kind of battling out for 3 and 4.
What's crazy to remember the last time that Sharyland beat McAllen. I think it was the first time they've been on in a long time, but they've kind of dropped a couple games. The real surprise is McAllen Memorial, after that big season they had last year. They're trying to fend off McAllen Rowe from that last playoff spot, so we'll see how this ends up. But like I said, it should be interesting with McAllen and Sharyland, who ends up winning that district championship.
And I'll see the one of the big things that I've noticed kind of following these. Don't be fooled by the wins, because sometimes they'll get a win, but you only get the 2 points, and that's why you see that's where you kind of see a little bit of a split. And you can kind of see that with McAllen and Mission Sharyland, that the reason why there's the 1 point, even though they have the same amount of wins, is the loss for that here. Did I do? Oh no, this is ladies.
That was boys,
31. Yeah. McAllen Memorial 8-0, perfect 24 points. Pioneer 19, McAllen 18, Rowe 15, and then Vela and Sharyland at 12 and 11. Still hanging in there. So I guess you got probably 3 teams fighting for that last spot.
I think McAllen should have no issues, getting in. So I think Pioneer's been the surprise for the girls. Memorial last year, like I said, that dynamite season. So like I said, they're back in business. That last spot could come down to those 3 teams between Sharyland, Vela, and Rowe. So anything can happen. And you mentioned about those shootout wins could be a factor in from getting 3 points or 2 points, and that losing out on that 1 extra point could cost you that last spot.
So 5A loaded. Brownsville Lopez 27, Harlingen South 24, Porter in 3rd at 21, Brownsville Rivera at 18. Donna North, when we initially did this, was pretty high up, but slipped right now out at 17. Pace at 16. Donna, the Redskins at 12. You keeping them in, or are you moving it to really from Pace and above?
Well, Porter knocked off Lopez last night, but they beat them in a shootout, so they stole 2 points from them. The surprise is Harlingen South. Normally you'd probably see like Lopez and Porto neck and neck. Then Rivera, like I said, they moved down from 6 to 5A. I probably thought it was going to be a 3-team race, but kudos to Harlingen South. Rivera's trying to fend off Donna North, who last year surprised everybody too. But don't count out Brownsville Pace too, because they got some talent there. Like I said, you have 3 teams within striking distance for that last spot, and like I said, they could change some things, as far as the playoff seedings.
Well, especially if Brownsville Rivera gets knocked out, and you could see some changes, especially if it's Pace that pops in on between 1 and 2 for that here.
So
On the
Pace,
ladies,
yeah, you mentioned that Pace gets in. Guess who goes to Division 1? That's that Brownsville Lopez team.
On the ladies, Harlingen South, perfect 10-0. Well, I guess they dropped one, had a shootout win, so they're not perfect because they don't have 30. But 10-0 on the record, 29 points. Brownsville Lopez 24. Ed Couch Elsa at 22, Donna North at 20, and then Rivera at 18, and the Redskins, Donna Redskins at 16. So kind of very similar to the boys on District 32. Where you got a fringe 6-team race. So probably next 2 weeks will be extremely important to see which team drops out and who's going to be hanging in there to fight for those last spots.
Yeah, I think Harlingen South girls should no problem winning that district. I think they'll take care of business. Rivera, let's see if they can catch up for the last spot.
So moving to 6A, so the big schools, Cedar Park 7-1, Vandergrift 6-1-1, Westwood, McNeil surged up the standings this week here at 5-2. Round Rock kind of a surprise, 2-3-1, Manor 3-4. Not sure if Stony Point's through there, but to me, I know you guys. I saw McNeil play. They're a tall, physical team. For that here, Vista Ridge and Vandergrift, I think, are the two favorites, though, right?
Yeah, but what a year for Vista Ridge. I don't think anybody had them on the radar. I think we had them as one of our hidden gems from the 50/50 podcast. A great season for them. I think they're a team that could do some damage in that Division 1 spot. It'd be interesting who they play because 26 is also stacked too. I mean, that's the thing with it. The 25-26, you're going to be in a dogfight in that first round game. McNeil, like I said, that's a team to keep an eye on. I think they could upset some teams, into the playoffs and could make a deep run. Same thing with Westwood too. They're also tough. Vandergrift kind of a little surprised. Remember, they were your regional Region 4 champions. A couple little setbacks, but like I said, they're still within striking range against. And
Vandergrift will be going D2 if it's these four teams. Them and McNeil would be going D2. Westwood and Vista Ridge would be going D1. So for that here, so just to keep that in mind. For the ladies, the Lady Dragons 7-0-1 from Round Rock. Westwood 5-0-3. Vandergrift 6-2, Cedar Park, Vista Ridge 4-2-2, and then I guess semi gap with Cedar Ridge at 3-4 or 3-4-1, and along those lines here. But this one here seems
almost set, pretty much set,
yeah.
Almost set. Depending if Cedar Ridge can catch up to Vista Ridge, like I said, and that could.
But the top three are set though.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Well, if Cedar Ridge did put in, they would bump Westwood from D1 to D2. So that's one thing to keep in mind. 26, you talk about the other powerhouse. Lake Travis 4-1, Westlake 3-1-1, Bowie, Dipping Springs, Del Valle, and then the Austin Kins and Austin Maroons. But Lake Travis and Westlake. For that here, that one draw, it looks like the Del Valle kind of impacting possibly the district there.
Yep, and like I said, Del Valle still within range to try to overtake Bowie and Dripping Springs. And I know Bowie's on a down year this year because, like I said, they lost a lot to graduation and so forth. They actually got an update. From Coach Cano for the J girls game. J girls 5, McCullum 0.
Oh wow,
that is a statement there. That is a statement there. So congrats to the Lady Mustangs on their win. So good. So the Friday night's game is going to be a doozy.
That probably determined the top seed, right? You'd figure, barring a collapse.
Yep. That turn, but there's plenty of soccer for that district, so anything can happen. But yeah, this district here for the girls, very competitive.
Westlake 4-0-1, or pardon me, like Travis 4-1, Westlake 3-0-2, Bowie, Dripping Springs, and then it kind of drops from there. But I think the top four are kind of set.
Yeah,
most
a little
likely.
surprised by Westlake with 2 ties. Because there are your state finalists, and what we discussed a lot, the last time they said they had a young team last year, which came out of nowhere, and they're pretty much the favorite to probably maybe repeat again. Wonder if the injury bugs kind of hit them a bit. That's why they have a couple setbacks. But like I said, don't count them out come playoff time. That's one team. That's one team you don't want to face.
So that's one I have a little bit of bone to pick with you, just based on district play. But I understand when you're looking at overall record, which is what you do with the Rafa Power rankings.
Mm-hmm.
But number 3, Brandeis 6-1, Reagan 4-1-1, Johnson 4-2. Lee, your 6th ranked team 3-2-2 in district, so they had a good non-district,
mm-hmm.
but district. And I know this is a tough district. Don't get me wrong, but to be still 6, I'm just
it's still, things will balance out. Like I mentioned, things will balance out. So no crying, like what the Man City banner said. No crying. I know there's someone's gonna cry for their team. I know that, but like I said, things will balance out. But like I said, this is a competitive district, but kudos
you
to
got Madison and Churchill rounding out.
But kudos to Brandeis and kudos to Reagan too. They had a rough start, but they're starting to, like I said, peak at the right time. And like I said, if they can keep on their winning ways, like I said, you'll probably see them in the rankings, pretty soon.
I've doubted Johnson. I've doubted Johnson, and
they finally kind of get. I think they're trying now.
They're getting it together.
Get together, piece things together. Lee, I'm a little surprised too because they've seen them play. I wonder if their injury bugs hit them. We don't know. I know, like I said, they've been in some competitive games there, but I think these 4, I think more than likely, depending if Madison kind of get it together a bit. I think these are your 4 that do represent District 27-6A for the playoffs.
27 for the ladies. Number 1 team, Brandeis, 5-0-2. I've seen them a couple of times. I know you've seen them a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
Reagan, 5-2. Number 9, honorable mention to Johnson, the Lady Jaguars, 4-1-2. And then Lee, 3-2-2. Clark, 2-1-4. We saw them play Brandeis for that here. Madison also hanging in there at 2-3-2 as well. So 6 teams for 4. I think the top 3 are pretty secure as far as making it. But how do you see this shaking out?
Yeah, we still got a long way to go with soccer, as far as this district. But kudos to Brandeis. I don't think anybody kind of favored them, this season. They've had some rough seasons. They've had some talented players. They just haven't been able to kind of piece it together. And I think this is the year they have. And they're going to be a very dangerous team going into the playoffs. Reagan, like I said, I've seen the girls play a few times. Very talented team. They can touch the ball well. A little surprised they have 2 losses, but hey, I think they still have a chance to win district. Johnson, I think they're starting to get things together. But that last spot, I think is going to come down to, like I said, Lee, Clark, and Madison. We did get to see Clark play. I think those 4 ties are really kind of hurting them. Maybe they get 2. Maybe 2 out of those 2 wins out of that. Maybe they'd probably be in that 4th spot or maybe in the 3rd spot. So long way to go, but it's going to be interesting how this finishes out in a couple of weeks.
Moving to 28, boys. Number 4 in the Rafa Power Index, Warren. Number 13, Brennan. Honorable mention, O'Connor. And Harlan. It's probably the first time in, 2-3 years? Mm-hmm. We've seen them in below the top 1 or 2, and basically below the top spot because they pretty much ran roughshod over this district the last few years. Marshall, to me, they're a team to watch out for. Like I said here, they're a little bit sneaky, a little bit hot and cold for that here. Unfortunately for Taft, injuries and was it MLS Next Pros kind of really impacted them from what we thought that they would be this year. Stevens, I know 3-6 is not a great record, but to me, I'm excited to see that because I didn't think they were going to be that well for that year, especially losing to Holmes in the first match of it here. But thoughts on Warren, Brennan, and O'Connor as the top three?
I got to give it up to Warren. They've done a great season. I guess mentioned Harlan had a stranglehold in this district for the last 2 years, and I think Warren was like, it's time, it's time for a new district champion. They're on the path, like I said, but Brennan's still hot on their heels, not over yet.
Mm-hmm. Still a lot to play, and we've seen that in this district.
Yeah, still a lot to play. O'Connor too. I remember Coach Bledsoe mentioned, like I said, they kind of missed out last year, but this year you see they're starting to get it together. Like I said, they had a win over Harlan. I'm sure the rematch is going to be just as a dandy game. But the surprise has been Marshall. Marshall is within striking distance to get that 4th spot, and then could change some things. Playoff wise, because if O'Connor, like I said, right now, D1 would be what Harlan. Like I said, I think would it change things? If they take over for Harlan, let's see. Yeah, it could change.
Well, here's 2601, 2602. One person difference, and because Brennan would be, so Brennan would be the top. So Marshall would be the second. O'Connor would drop down to there if they're able to get past Harlan by one person.
Interesting, very interesting there, which could happen. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I just wanted to double check it. The ladies' side, number 11, Taft, 8-0. Warren, number 6, 7-1-1. O'Connor, 5-2-2, and then Sotomayor, Brennan, probably the two favorites there. I know Taft got off to a slow start, and that's probably why they're 11.
Mm-hmm.
But they are on a roll. Goalkeeper Madison, to me, the goalkeeper of the year here in San Antonio, probably for boys and girls. I'll stake that claim for that here.
I'm sure her mom would love that. Shout out to her mom. She came to chat with me at the game versus Brennan, so shout out to her.
And I'll say Madison's not very quiet either. So.
I know. No, but kudos to them. For the slow start. I know the coach had mentioned to me about early on. He mentioned when I visited Taft. He's mentioned it's going to depend how this team kind of reacts and gets it together. And it didn't look good early on, but something clicked, and they've been on the roll. Like I said, I was impressed how they played, how they touched the ball, how they worked together. Because to lose some players that they had last year, that's tough.
Quality players.
They had high quality players, and but like I said, they're picking up the slack. They're doing what they need to do, and like I said, they're on a roll, and I don't think a lot of people expected that, and still, like I said, Warren's still in the hunt. Like I said, they're about to start the second round of the district play. So, like I said, Taft still has a target on their back. I'm sure the other teams are not going to take them. Maybe they kind of took them like they're not as strong this year. Well, I'm sure they're changing their game plans. O'Connor, O'Connor's still in it. I thought that was one of my favorites. Like I said, as far as being one of the district championships with Warren. Soto, could this be the year for Soto? They're right ahead of Brennan. Brennan, I've seen play. They have some talent, just have some bad luck on some games, And then Harlan, like I said, we have some good things from them early on. Like I said, they kind of faltered a bit, but second half, can they make a turnaround and get on a hot streak and try to get that last spot? So I think there's three teams still can contend for that last spot. It's just like I said, Harlan's has to beat some of the teams ahead of them, because they cannot lose points to teams, from 7, 8, and 9. If they can get maybe a tie or a win, you never know what can happen. Like I said, there's no gimmies in this district.
To me, for Harlan to get it, they'd have to beat Brennan and they'd have to beat Soto.
Yeah.
to get back in. If they do not beat those two teams, if they get a draw, if they drop points to them, I think that's why, to me, I think it's Brennan, Sotomayor. Because no offense to Holmes, Stevens, or Marshall, I think they're going to continue to struggle. The key will be if you drop points to them with the draws, because we can see each team's got 3 draws between Holmes and Stevens. But to me, I personally think it's between Soto and Brennan. For
mathematically, like I said, they're still
mathematically.
They're still in it.
Technically, all of them are still mathematically
they're,
in, but
they're in it. But like I said, it's like what you mentioned. They have to beat some teams ahead of them. So
they got to beat Soto. They have to beat Brennan. If they don't beat those two teams, then I don't think they stand much of a chance to make up the gap. Because then you're talking about that they have to beat TAPPS, have to beat Warren, have to beat O'Connor for that here, instead of beating two teams that you're fighting directly with.
Yeah, because there's like a 5-point gap, so I think winning those 2 games will probably be able to close that gap, but then we'll see what happens there.
Well, number one, it prevents them from gaining on you. That's the big thing. And to me, a draw doesn't help them in that case. They got to get the wins for that here. Now, 29. Very early for here. Cibolo Steel, your number 10 rank, 3-1. Buddha Johnson, 3-1. I did ask, if Boot, because I think on the girls' side they have a pretty good record, and you mentioned that they're a little bit more Austinish for that, so they're not going to be in the Rafa Power Index. Clemens 2-1-1. San Marcos right now is on the inside, but your honorable mention. Canyon Cougars at 1-1-2 is on the outside, and then of course you got Judson and East Central. So I'm assuming, based on honorable mention, and you're expecting Canyon to make the jump into the playoffs.
Yeah, from like I said, they had a good one last night. Can they do it again? Like I said, it's still early in the district play. They just have to get some of those road wins, not get some of those draws. Like I said, they only have 1 loss, district play, so they're basically still in it. So, but kudos also to Steel. Like I said, they're doing a great season so far. I am a little surprised with Buda Johnson. I really didn't think, that they were gonna really kind of do some damage in this district. I know the girls' side, the girls.
Austin girls.
Yeah, the girls' side, what they did last year. Clemens, I'm a little surprised they struggled early on, but like I said, they're still in striking distance. San Marcos, remember, they surprised everybody last year making the playoffs. Can they hold off Canyon? That's going to be the key there. So it's a 5-team race here for the playoffs, and it's going to be interesting.
Still early, yeah.
Still early on.
Moving to 29, you got Steel on top again, 4-0. San Marcos 3-2, Canyon 3-1-1, Buddha Johnson 3-1, Buddha Johnson 3-1, and then kind of the dip to Judson and Clemens. Anybody get back into it, or you think the 4 is maybe not the final spots are selected, but the top 4 are pretty secure?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised with Buddha Johnson. Kind of, I thought they'd be in the kind of. Well, they are 1 game behind Steel, so it's still early. Same thing with Canyon. I think them and Steel, I thought those 3 teams would be finding it out. Clemens is a surprise at 1-3. I did see them play early in January. They had, like I said, they're a talent team. I think they're young. I think that's the thing. I think they're kind of maybe rebuilding this year. But still, can they catch up to San Marcos to probably get that last spot? We'll see. So don't count out Judson too. That I know they surprised some teams last year. They always play you tough. So, but like I say, right now it's pretty much a 3-team race for the district title. The 4th spot probably it's going to come down to San Marcos or Clemens, if Clemens can kind of get it together.
For 30, Del Rio, first place at 13. Laredo United at 11. Medina Valley got a big win to move up to 7th. Eagle Pass at 6. Laredo Alexander at 6. LBJ at 5. Even Laredo South, is still in it with 3 points. This one's wide open, and now it's still about mid-season or mid-district.
Yeah, they just finished. Yeah, they just finished the district. Actually, they got 1 more game. I know Medina Valley just finished their district first half.
First round,
Yeah, because Del Rio still's got to play Eagle Pass, and then I think United has Alexander, and LBJ's got United South. So, like I said, the Del Rio boys, like I said, so far a good start. Can they finish? That's like I said, they had a setback last night. They lost to Medina Valley and PKs, so they'll drop points. Like I said, they drop points there. So United still in. Like I said, a win by United and if
Moves
it
them to the top.
moves them to the top, depending if Del Rio can beat Eagle Pass, which that Eagle Pass team is a tough team. The surprise is the Laredo Alexander. Uh, they're struggling, and like I said, I got to see them play. They had some talented players. They played a tough non-district schedule, and I actually thought they'd be, probably in the top three. Uh, don't know if the injury bugs hit them. Like I said, they have a tough one with United. They desperately have to win that game, trying to get back in it, because if a loss is really gonna kind of push them back a little bit more. Depending on if United South can beat LBJ or they end up tying or getting some points. So that fourth spot could come down. I think it's going to come down to. I think even like I said, even the last two spots going to come down probably to Medina Valley, El Paso, Alexander, maybe LBJ. We'll see.
And I will say, when we talked about this district early, we thought it was going to be the Laredo schools and Medina Valley, but Del Rio and Eagle Pass, we said watch out for them. But to me, they've exceeded my expectation, at least so far, for that. But they're still the second side to play. For the ladies, number 3, Medina Valley, 6-0, perfect 18 points. Alexander at 12, Laredo United at 9. And then Del Rio and Eagle Pass seem to be fighting for that last spot, although I guess Eagle Pass could still probably catch up to Laredo United. But I think Medina Valley's shown that they are the class of this district so far.
Yeah, so moving up from 5 to 6A, they've proven it. Like I said, I've seen Medina Valley play, great talent. They touch the ball well. Keep an eye on them. Let's see if they can make a deep run in the playoffs. I think the only maybe team that they have to watch out for in the second, third round game will probably be the Harlingen teams. But Alexander, like I said, good season for them. I expected United to maybe kind of contend a little bit more, maybe in the second spot. I'm so surprised on third. Del Rio, we'll see. They got Eagle Pass girls tomorrow, so they got on Friday. So a loss gets Eagle Pass back in it. If not, like I said, a Del Rio win pretty much starts to kind of set themselves away.
Separate.
Yeah, get that separation, and more likely it'll be those 4 teams that represent the district.
And moving to 31 boys, like I said, smaller districts for 31 and 32. Enberg,
Conomides,
La Jolla, Enberg North, and then Enberg High, kind of right now, but Waslaco through there. But this is very early, not a huge district for that here. I think Indomides is probably the favorite. I don't know what else to say on this one here. It seems
Edinburgh North is the one that represented. Well, they went to the regional final last year. So a little surprised that they're low. Like I said, they're only a game behind. So I know they had a loss to Edinburgh Conomides early on. We'll see what happens on the second go around. But like I said, Conomides has been that surprise team, and so they'll be going D1, and it'd be interesting how far they can go. Could they do this, kind of replicate what North did last year? Like I said, we'll see what they do in the next month.
Looking at the girls, I didn't rearrange this one. Enberg Economies 9, Waslaco at 8, Enberg Bobcats at 6, and North at 4, and then the other 2, I think, unfortunately 0-3 in district here. So I think we got the top 4. The order, of course, is still needing to be worked out. But even if you're looking at it here, most likely, Indomides and Waslaco are going D1, and Edinburgh and North are going D2 for that here, barring Far San Juan, Alamo, or La Jolla making a comeback.
Yeah, the surprise team has been Wessico. Like I said, we had them also as one of our hidden jewels. I don't think anybody expected them to have a good start this year. I know they're a little point behind Economides. They probably had like a shootout win. That's why
Yeah.
they didn't get the full points. So, like I said, it's still early. Like I said, they only played 10 district games, so they still got 7 more games to go. So we'll see later on in the next 2 weeks how this shapes up. But more likely, those are the 4 teams.
Region 4, 32 boys. Only one team's not going to make it, and it's looking like it's going to be Brownsville-Anna. Brownsville Vet, Los Fresno, 6 points, although Brownsville Vets played 3 games. San Benito and Harlingen, a 1-win, 1 draw. Not sure what else to say on this one here.
My dad wouldn't be happy with Hannah being in last place, you know. And I'm kind of wondering now if you know if all those idea schools have really affected Hannah's as far as their enrollment, as far as their talent going to those schools. And that's something I need to ask my uncle because like I say, he's at Pace High School, so he probably know what's going on with them.
Well, I think it's obvious that it's affected it because you know. Just number one, if they didn't have them, they would, instead of having to be in about 23, there'd probably be 2,600 kids in the school.
And they used to have about 3,000 students. Even though when they opened veterans, you know, they were still up there. Like I said, Hannah was a powerhouse, and for them to kind of see them this way, it's a little surprising. But you know, as far as your top 2 teams, you know, it's gonna, as far as district titles, coming down to veterans or Los Fresnos. So, like I said, whoever wins that kind of that season series is probably gonna end up winning the district title.
And for the ladies, Harlingen and Los Fresnos, both perfect so far. Brownsville Vet and on it are, you know, 1 win, and then San Benito. Unfortunately, through 2 matches, you know, hasn't quite got it as of yet. So, still very, very early. But of course, this district, there's only 8 matches.
Yeah, 8 matches
for that here. So they're a quarter of the way through. So it's really hard to kind of make a base judgment as of yet. For that here.
Well, 2 favorites, like I said, it's Harlingen and Los Fresnos. Like I said, for the girls. So those are your contenders. So when they lock horns, we'll see who. Like I said, they're gonna face each other. Whoever wins those 2 games is gonna win the district title.
I guess the question is, can San Benito get into the top 4? And if they do, then that puts Harlingen Harlingen Cardinals to D2 instead of D1. So
we'll see if they can.
So that's why I'm saying that San Benito, even though they've lost 2 matches, if they are able to get on the board, and you know, they're not even in the second half as of yet, but if they're able to get on the board, and you know, that could change the order of how this district goes. So Rafa, that's it. You know, I know Monday we're planning on doing the TAPPS bracketology. For that here, we'll have to see if Steve or Coach Cano, if they want to come in, depending on if they're playing or not playing along those lines here. It just might be you and me going through and picking them. Hopefully TAPPS will have their brackets or standings updated where we're semi-close, because sometimes we're not always right.
Yeah.
We've had that happen a couple of times with very late minute changes to standings that popped out of nowhere. Like I said, I talked to Ray Silva down in the RGV. He's doing some stuff with the girls' side down, you know, with RGV Sports. So, you know, I might be getting a little bit more information as far as he's covering the girls down there. So, maybe able to get a little bit more information from them on that we can highlight for down in the valley to promote them. But like I said, Rafa, be safe coming home. Any final thoughts that you got so we can get you out of here? And I know you got a job where you got to get up and possibly travel tomorrow.
Yeah, so I'll be last day in Odessa. I'll be at Odessa College tomorrow, and then off to right after that head out to Abilene, and then I'll be at Colt McCoy's old stomping grounds at Jim Ned High School on Fridays. So I'll be visiting his school, and then back to San Antonio, and then we'll see. We'll get to go to Corpus for the SAFC game.
So, but Salado beat. That was JV. Never mind. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, they moved their game. JV. Yeah, they moved the game today because of the weather. So, because I saw that posted, so that was one of the key games today. That was probably the two best teams in that district for the girls' side.
But final thought for me, like I said here, keep supporting the schools, keep supporting the referees, even if it's a call that you kind of question. Obviously, you can groan a little bit, but don't try not to get too personal or anything along those lines. They are doing their best that they can do out there, especially if it's a two-man crew or two-woman crew or mixed crew, because there are female referees as well here in San Antonio for that here. So just please support the players, the schools, the referees, and if you do go to a game, try to go get a bottle of water, or candy, or something from the concessions, because that typically goes to the booster clubs of the schools or the district. I forget how they do it for that here. So please just kind of help support the schools, for that here. But for me, what's life without goals? We're out of here. Peace.
Nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa, whoa.